Hi everyone, welcome to NRIG's AGM 2021 pandemic version. My name is Charlene Chu. I am the chair of NRIG, and I'm so pleased to have all of you join us today on this rainy, muggy June day. So we've been going through an unprecedented time, obviously, with COVID-19. So this is NRIG's second AGM where we've had to do it virtually. I'm hoping with the rates of vaccinations that we can have an in-person AGM next year, but we have, I don't know, I'll keep my fingers crossed for that. In any case, I just want to welcome everyone. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. So I just want to start off with the land acknowledgement. So here at NRIG, we represent nurses and nursing researchers from across Ontario. As such, we acknowledge that where we work, go to school, conduct research, and enjoy leisure time is all on land that has been inhabited by Indigenous people for thousands upon thousands of years. We are grateful for these opportunities, and we want to recognize those who have cared for the land since the beginning as we gather today from across the province. I want to acknowledge that Ontario is covered by 46 treaties and other agreements, such as the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. As such, we come from a vast number of areas originally inhabited by many different First Nations, Métis, and Inuit communities. As I recognize the stewards of this land we are privileged to call home, I want to draw your attention to National Indigenous History Month, which is the month of June. And in honor of Indigenous History Month, I challenge all of us to continue our education and learn about the systemic racism experienced by Indigenous people in Canada. Our hearts break thinking about the families of those children who have attended residential schools, as well as the communities and generations that have been impacted by the residential school system and other institutional factors. I urge everyone to get involved with honoring Indigenous people and amplifying their voices and experiences in any which way we can. So for the month of June, NRIG has shared several resources on our Twitter feed, videos and other blog pages for you to learn about the Indigenous people. We also recommend this Indigenous Leaders series that has been launched by the Canadian Academy of Nurses in 2020. So for today's table of content, I'm going to give a quick welcome from my position as the chair. Then we want to honor our NRIG Award and Scholarship winners. They've all so kindly filmed a 1-minute video so you can hear from them what the research is about and the research that we fund here at NRIG, which we are really, really proud of. We want to say hello to our incoming executive member and our outgoing executive members who have been so critical in making sure that NRIG was functional this past year during COVID. And then we have some business reports given by some of our financial officers. And so we have 5 or 6 business reports to go through. So this year has been insane, and I just really want to acknowledge that it's been challenging for everybody. And the COVID pandemic, which might be a keystone event of our lifetime, has really impacted us one way or another. And so from these unprecedented times, I do think that there's glimmers of hope and humanity and creativity. And so much of that comes from nurses and nursing scholars and students. And so NRIG is committed to facilitating this excellence in nursing scholars, nursing students, and researchers. Throughout this next year, I hope that we can continue to help build capacity in this nursing research community. Our plans were derailed a bit from last year. Because of COVID, we weren't able to offer as much content as I would have liked, but I'm hoping that this year we can get things back on the rails a bit and host more regular content to provide more value to our members. We also want to host an inaugural pitch competition where nurses can showcase their work. Again, this was something that we planned to do last year, but it just wasn't feasible. NRIG is also committed to enacting the values of equity and inclusivity and diversity. So we want to continue in offering a diverse range of awards. And so one of our awards was an innovation award that we introduced this year. We want to continue doing that so that we can include our clinical focused registered nurses who are working on the front lines. We have dedicated awards for Black and Indigenous nurse researchers and nursing students. So we also want to continue that as well. We've also been able to expand our student representative positions from 2 to 4. And again, that is with the goal of trying to be more representative across Ontario and reaching schools outside of the GTA. And I also hope to add an equity, diversity, and inclusion officer to the executive team later on this year. So again, we're going to be very active this year. Thank you very much for coming along with us on this journey. And we're going to be very engaged with our members. We have new promotional materials. We'll be offering more webinars, more content. We have an ongoing collaboration with the Nursing Student Organization, the NSO. We'll have regular newsletters. And then again, we're very active on social media. So you can follow us on any one of these channels, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and we also have a website that we host as well. So without further ado, let's go into our awards and scholarships. So is Connie here? Hi, Connie.
Hi.
Hi. Do you want to go over your slides, and then you just let me know when you want me to advance?
Okay. So this year we continue our being able to support the ongoing research and scholarship of our NRIG members. As Charlene mentioned, we did introduce a new grant application this year for innovation and dissemination, looking to support point of care nurses engaged in evidence-based quality improvement and/or knowledge translation research projects. So that was our new award this year. As you recall, last year we had the new undergraduate award. Unfortunately, this year we did put a hold on the conference award, just in light of the travel restrictions and the ongoing issues with the COVID-19 pandemic. We also were able to designate awards for inclusion, which we were quite happy with some of the recipients and the applicants this year. So in total, we had 21 applications for our awards this year, and we were able to fund 9 of these applicants, some of which are scholarship and some are directly related to their research projects. So as a change, Charlene mentioned that we're going to be hearing about some of these research projects, which I think is just really an awesome opportunity to become engaged and to learn of the work that's going on with some of our NRIG members. So we can just go to the next slide. So our undergraduate awards, we did award 2 this year and 2 new member awards. And those recipients are Tristan Brown for the undergraduate and Nita Shamsi for the undergraduate. And there's just a brief bio there. I'm sorry, I've got my dog in the background. I can't control that. And then for the new NRIG members, we have Genevieve Armstrong and Paige Girk. We can skip over the RNFU award. I believe this is Lynn Lee, who was the successful applicant for the RNFU award last year. And our innovation award went to, I'm going to let you play Angel Wang's
Hi, my name is Angel Wong, and I'm a clinical research leader at a community hospital in Toronto. My research interests focus on 3 main areas. Number 1, dementia care. Second, nursing leadership and work environments. And lastly, the use of novel approaches to enhance learner outcomes and learning in nursing education. I'm incredibly grateful for the Nursing Research Interest Group, as they work hard to promote nursing research across Ontario. The grant that they provided me will support my research initiative to develop and implement an education program to improve the attitudes towards dementia and sense of competency in dementia care among acute care nurses. This grant will also help me promote nursing research within my own organization, as well as encourage frontline nursing staff to get involved in research and scholarly activities. I look forward to sharing the results of the study with everyone at RNAO.
Graduate Scholarship.
Everyone, I feel extremely privileged to be a recipient of the Nursing Research Interest Group Graduate Scholarship Award. My name is Joyce Choi, and I'm a first-year PhD student at York University. Currently, I'm interested in exploring the area of accessible learning accommodation for nursing students with the focus on mental health-related conditions. I'm interested in exploring this complex research area through a critical lens, and I'm currently at the exploratory stage of my research. I look forward to updating the Nursing Research Interest Group as I progress in my PhD journey. Thank you once again for awarding me this prestigious award.
Her PhD or master's, along with Joyce, Carolyn Verith was the other recipient, and we'll hear about her research now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Caroline Variet, and I'm a PhD candidate in nursing with a collaborative specialization in bioethics at the University of Toronto. The end-of-life care challenges that I encountered during my clinical practice, especially while caring for those with loss of decision-making capacity, has made me passionate about improving end-of-life care. My PhD thesis focuses on experiences with the loss of capacity to consent and access to medical assistance in dying in Canada. The goal of my study is to improve policies aimed at inform policies aimed at improving the overall end-of-life care and the quality of death for patients with loss of decision-making capacity. Through my PhD work and beyond, I would like to be a part of normalizing the concept of death and dying and improving end-of-life care for patients, their family members, as well as healthcare providers. I thank NRIG for supporting me with my PhD journey. Thank you.
Right, and the next award is the research grant, and the recipient is Andrea Rochon, and we'll hear about her research now.
Hi, I'm Andrea Rochon. I've been a registered nurse for 11 years. I have worked in a variety of clinical settings. I work as a clinical instructor, teaching and learning with students, as well as working as a research assistant on various projects. All of these career opportunities led me to decide to pursue my own further education, and I'm currently in my 4th year in the PhD program with the School of Nursing at Queen's University. My research project is focused on examining opioid deprescribing among long-term care residents in Ontario. I'm using some of the health administrative databases held at the Institute for Clinical Evaluative Sciences to explore this topic. I want to take this opportunity to thank the Nursing Research Interest Group. I'm very grateful to be the recipient of the Research Award this year, and it will help in supporting me to complete this project, and hope that I will be able to disseminate the findings in order to support practice, policy, and future research. Thanks again.
And our final research award goes to the early researcher, novice researchers, and that's Dr. Emily Belita, who sends her regrets she's unable to join us today, but we will hear about her research now.
Hello everyone, I'm Emily Belita, and I'm a postdoctoral fellow in the School of Nursing at McMaster University, and also in the School of Public Health and Health Systems at the University of Waterloo. My clinical experience is working as a frontline public health nurse in the areas of chronic disease prevention and school health. And my research interests really stem from my experience working as a frontline public health nurse. I'm really interested in understanding more about evidence-informed decision-making and knowledge translation in the context of public health, and also exploring the roles and the impact of public health nurses in protecting and promoting the health and well-being of individuals, communities, and populations. One of the projects I'm currently involved in is leading a multiple case study design in which we are exploring the context, roles, and impact of public health nurses over the duration of the COVID-19 pandemic in Ontario. Our hope is that findings from this project will help to inform strategic decision-making and planning at the public health system level.
So at this time, we'd like to thank all of the applicants who applied for funding this year. We really did have some exceptional applications, and we are so thrilled that we can fund some of them. And they've inspired our confidence in nursing research that's going on in the province of Ontario. And we'd just like to extend heartfelt congratulations to all the awardees. And at this time, I'd like to also thank all of those members of NRIG who participated in the adjudication process so that we could successfully distribute these funds. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie, for all of your work in organizing these, and congratulations to all of our winners. We are very excited to see the results of all of your hard work. So I think just for the interest of time, we might skip over the business reports from the NRIG members. However, all of these slides will be shared on our website. So we want to welcome our incoming executive member, Tara Lundy, who will be replacing Valentina as our newsletter executive officer. And just a reminder that there is an open election right now for our 2 student representatives. Our website for the communications officer, and then the member at large who will be in charge of the awards, and they will be replacing Connie. So I also want to mention that the chair-elect position, which is a 4-year term, is still open. So the nominations are open there. And so if you or anyone you know may be interested in taking on a 4-year term, please apply and put your name forward. So for outgoing executive members, we had some wonderful members this past year, and I'm really sad to see them go. This year would not have been possible without you. We have our student representatives who are moving on, Celia and Sariel from U of T and from Ryerson respectively. Connie, who you just saw, she handles the awards and has been doing so over the last few years. She's amazing, and we're really going to miss you. Joyce, who you saw also was one of the winners. She's amazing, and we're also going to really miss you too. And Valentina is a PhD student at UT, and she is moving on as well. So thank you so much, Valentina, for all of your work this past year. So thank you all very, very much. We have a few business reports, but again, just in the interest of time, I'm going to gloss over many of them. Maybe I'll just have Michelle do the financial report, and then we can gloss over the rest. Go ahead, Michelle.
Sure, I'll make it really quick. So thank you everyone for having us today. My name is Michelle Heyer, and I'm the finance officer for the Nursing Research Interest Group. So just a few items from the 2020-21 year. Our budget was approved by our executive in November 2020. We received membership revenue from the Registered Nurses Association of Ontario for all of our members in the amount of $11,820. And our current account balance is $17,811.98. And if you look at the bottom right corner for our proposed budget, it was $15,050. So we are well within the limits to meet our proposed budget within the account balance that we have. There's no concerns at the present time for our budget. So we look forward to reporting off what we spend in October. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. I will skip over the policy and political action report, as well as the newsletter report. We sent out 3 newsletters this year, and you can expect another one in the next week or so. For our website, we still are an interest group that we host our own website. So you can check out our website. This year, we're going to be archiving a lot more content as we continue to offer it for this next year. For our student report, they have done an amazing job redoing a lot of our promotional materials, and also connecting with all of the nursing schools in all of Ontario. Kylie, if you're here, do you want to quickly speak to this?
Yeah, I'll keep it really brief. I'm happy to report that our membership continues to grow. We've actually seen a 30% increase over the past year, which is amazing. So over 550 new members. And if you want to go to the next slide, when we look at the 5-year trend, we had a bit of a dip, I think, in 2018, but our membership is pretty much recovered. And so I have my email on the slide there if any of our members have any ideas of how we can continue to grow our membership. Happy to hear from you.
Thanks, Kylie. Kanika, if you're here, do you want to say a couple of words?
Yeah, I can definitely speak to this slide. So social media is a huge thing. Sorry, I have like my work phone ringing in the background. So as you can see, as with our membership has grown, our following on social media has grown since last year. And our goal is to obviously influence, engage, and collaborate. If we want to move on to the next slide, you can see here, our Twitter account has grown, our Instagram has grown over 200%, and our Facebook is steadily rising as well. So we would like to continue to see these trends as we engage our following on social media. How we engage them, we'll talk about a little bit on the next slide, is through educational webinars. We've also promote our recruitment for our executive team, our scholarships and awards. We continue to engage through giveaways and contests, and we've collaborated with some of the other interest groups, including the diabetes nursing interest group, NSO, as well as our Ryerson Nursing Student Union. So if we go on to the next slide, you'll see that we definitely want to continue on the same path and see more growth and give more opportunities for our members and followers to engage with us on social media through contests, and definitely more educational campaigns to increase awareness of nursing issues, and also the nursing research that is being done, not only by our recipients, but just all across RNAO. So definitely connect with us on social media and keep up with all of the things that we're doing.
Thank you so much, Kanika. So that was our official NRIG business. So I will stop sharing my screen now. And I hand it over to Dr. Jenny Ploeg. Jenny, do you want to see if you can share your screen?
Hi, everyone.
Maybe while you're doing that, Jenny, I'll read a short bio. So Jenny needs no introduction, but I will try to introduce her anyways. So she is, I would say, a giant in the field of nursing in Canada. Jenny is a full professor in the School of Nursing, Faculty of Health Sciences at McMaster University. She is co-scientific director of the Aging, Community, and Health Research Unit. Her research interests focus on the development, implementation, and evaluation of healthcare services for older adults with multiple chronic conditions and their family caregivers. She has extensive experience in qualitative, quantitative, and mixed methods of research. She has supervised 3 postdoctoral fellows, 7 doctoral students, 8 master's students, has been on 35 supervisory committees, received almost $6 million in grants as PI, over $4 million as co-PI, $80 million as co-investigator. She has over 200 publications, and it is an honor to be able to listen to your reflections. So thank you so much for joining us. I hand over the baton.
Thank you very much, Charlene. Thanks, everyone. This is an amazing invitation. This is my second last day before I retire. So what timing is perfect, right? So thank you so much for inviting me. It's really exciting to hear of everything that's happening in the Nursing Research Interest Group. And I'm so proud of everything that you've accomplished, seeing all your stats and your connections with the students. It's just amazing. So I commend all of you. So I'm going to, Charlene suggested that I talk a little bit about some lessons learned in building a successful nursing research career today. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to reflect on my journey. And as I said, it's looking back with a great appreciation for those that I have worked with. And so even having on the Zoom call today, some colleagues. So Veronique Boscart is just an amazing colleague. I've so enjoyed working with her. I've worked with Charlene. Michelle Heyer has been one of my master's students, Melissa, one of my PhD students, now a faculty member, as is Michelle. I've had students Kylie and Paige have been students of mine. So you have all enriched my life so much. So when I reflect on my journey, there's a great joy in looking backward, as there is in looking forward. So I thank you so much for this invitation and the opportunity. So Charlene suggested I talk just maybe 4 or 5 lessons learned. So I'm going to talk about 5 lessons learned when I look back on my career. And they are the following: build on your passion, create a collaborative team, follow the flow of funding, write, find a mentor, be a mentor. So first, building on your passion. It's really important when we start developing a research career to think about what is it that we're passionate about? What drives our interest in discovery? What nursing practice issue is a concern to you and could it be addressed? What personal and professional experiences can you draw on? So when I think back about my career, much of my passion is in optimizing the health and quality of life for older adults and their family caregivers. And that has really driven much of my research. Personal experiences are also part of my passion. So I saw my grandparents age successfully after immigrating from Holland in their 50s and building a totally new life, starting completely over. I remember my grandfather sold his farm, never received the money from the gentleman in Holland, and basically had to start from scratch, and how successful they were in raising their family in a brand new country. And so aging is part of that consideration. I think about my professional experiences. When I was going through high school, I worked in a long-term care home and learned so much. As a public health nurse, I did home visiting for older adults. As a public health manager, I led a healthy elderly program with 18 nurses who were doing visits and health promotion and teaching. All of those things contributed to my passion in the area of aging and caregivers. Another area of passion is building capacity in trainees. So I've been so rewarded to support trainees, to obtain grants, to publish their papers, to complete undergraduate and graduate degrees, to obtain new jobs and start nursing careers. Those are all part of my passion and have really been integrated into my research program.
Jenny, just to let you know, you're on presenter view, realizing now.
Oh, sorry. All right. Let me see how I do that. And how do I do that from here? I know Amy's online and Amy's got always great skills on doing this. What do I need to do?
And I don't think I know unless you, if you end the show, can you share again without the presenter mode?
I will do my best. It's probably still that way, isn't it?
Penny, I think just when you clicked on display settings, there was an option to swap presenter view. Try that one.
There. Is that better?
There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Great. Thank you, guys. See, my life is filled with continued learning because of all my friends and colleagues. Thank you very much. All right. So I'm going to share 2 examples in this presentation of part of my research program. One is the Aging Community and Health Research Unit. This was a research unit that was developed in collaboration with a number of colleagues. And the goal was to promote optimal aging at home for older adults with multiple chronic conditions and to support their family and friend caregivers. The goal was also to co-design, implement, and evaluate interventions to achieve the quadruple aim outcomes of improved health outcomes, patient experience, provider experience at the same or reduced costs. And we're also certainly looking at scaling up effective interventions. And a key part of this is my passion about building research capacity. So there's a lot of information on the website of ACRU, and I encourage you to take a look. It gives you information about some of the studies that we've done, some of our students who have been involved, our partners, as well as some of our knowledge translation products. So one of the projects that comes under the Aging Community and Health Research Unit is a research project called Community Partnership Program for Diabetes Self-Management for Older Adults. And Melissa is involved with this project as well. Pardon me. The goal is to improve care delivery and outcomes for older adults who have diabetes, as well as other multiple chronic conditions, and to support their family caregivers. And part of the intervention involves home visits or virtual visits by nurses, dietitians, group wellness sessions, and care collaboration. So the second key lesson learned is to create a collaborative team. So I've been very blessed to work with some of these people, Maureen Markle-Reed, Ruta Velitis, Rebecca Ganan, who are co-scientific directors of the Aging Community and Health Research Unit. And it's really important to have a group of people around you who support you and who have like-mindedness in a way around a research program. But it's also important when you're developing a team to develop relationships with people who have different areas of expertise. So Maureen, for example, has a wonderful area of expertise around randomized controlled trials. It's important to build a team that is multidisciplinary in nature, to have patient and caregiver research partners, clinician partners, policy and decision makers, and trainees as part of the team. So these are some of the people who have been on some of my teams. So you'll see pictures of some of the trainees, some of the patient partners, some of our administrative staff, and many others who have worked with us collaboratively for a number of years. And so in the community partnership program, this is a list of some of the co-principal investigators and co-investigators. And so we have people who represent the Ontario Ministry of Health. We have people who are patient partners. We have people who are clinician partners, trainees. This study is happening in 4 provinces across Canada. So we have co-investigators from Quebec, Alberta, Ontario, and Prince Edward Island. So a very broad team. It is not only nurses. Yes, we have some key people on the team who are nurses, but it's a very broad team. In addition to those co-investigators, we have many partners. So we have partners such as Diabetes Action Canada, a CIHR-funded SPORE network. We are working with ministries from Ontario, PEI, Alberta, and Quebec, as well as a number of other partners. So when you're building a research team, think about not only the co-investigators, but the patient partners, the decision maker partners, the organizations and agencies, and others. The third key lesson learned is follow the flow of funding. So it's important to regularly check the websites of funders and to sign up for notices of funding opportunities, either through your recommendations. It's important to track the strategic priorities of provincial and national governments, because those often drive or are congruent with your research program. And it's important to shape your applications to funding priorities. So COVID-19, as challenging as it has been, has brought around a huge investment of research funding. And so one of the groups that I was involved with had a previous research project on supporting caregivers. And so they were able to rejig their proposal to focus on caregivers in the context of COVID-19. And that's sometimes what we have to be willing to do or able to do, turn on a dime and move with the flow of funding. In our Aging Community and Health Research Unit, the original funding was $5.8 million. So we had $2.5 million over 5 years from CIHR, a community-based primary healthcare initiative that was a team grant. And that was a major funding foundation for that research unit. We also had $3.3 million over 3 years from the Ontario Ministry of Health. And together, those two sources of funding provided funding for our research staff. I think we must have had 7 research projects across Canada that were going on in that program of research, as well as many training supports for our students. The current project, the Community Partnership Program, we received $1.8 million in funding for that, and more than half had to be cash in kind. So we were very blessed not only to have the CIHR funding for that grant, but also to have funding through Diabetes Action Canada, as well as a number of other sources. So that's something to think about. What links do you have with other sources if there is a requirement for cash funding? One of the things that particular project required us to do was to clearly demonstrate that we were consistent with the strategic priorities of the ministries that we were working with, Ontario, Quebec, PEI. So in those ministries, they had strategic priorities on chronic conditions, on older adults, on high emergency department users, and on primary care. So we integrated those priorities within the call for funding. Fourth, write. This is a really challenging thing to do at times, but it's absolutely key to a research career. Develop a publication plan. Review it regularly with your team. Be accountable to a team. Dedicate weekly time for writing. It's absolutely key. So this is an example of a publication plan or part of a publication plan. Some of ours have been 10 pages in length. They often include a key paper. Who are the lead authors? Who are the co-authors? What journal are you going to submit to? What's the status? When are you planning on submitting? And be accountable to that. And then, is this open access? Where are the funds going to come from to publish? And so you'll see at the bottom, one of those papers was Melissa Northwood's. And so she's been amazingly successful in her publication record. Some of the strategies in terms of writing are get feedback on papers, grants, presentations. Never be afraid to share your work. Be open to critique. The more you can learn from others about ideas that you have that maybe aren't as crystal clear as you thought, or certain slants that you have on papers or grants that you don't even realize, it's really important to bring those out into the open. I've taken a number of online writing courses, and they've been very helpful in my writing career. Make sure you include trainees on papers. Melissa has been a co-author with me on a number of papers and just is an amazing writer. And Michelle right now is still working on getting her master's thesis paper published. She's the exemplar of persistence, never giving up. She's had a number of times where it's been not accepted, but she's not giving up. And so that's one of those things that are really important to do. Join a writing group. I know Melissa and I believe Amy are also part of writing groups. That's a really key strategy as well. It helps you dedicate the time, opportunity to get feedback. Never, ever take non-acceptance personally, whether it's a grant or a publication. This is not about you. It's about the work. It feels like it's about you. It's really sensitive. It's hard to take, but just persist. Turn that thing around again and resubmit elsewhere. And celebrate success. Make sure you, your family, your team celebrate the successes. Pardon me. Share a box of chocolates, go out for a meal together when COVID is over, but make sure you celebrate those successes. Finally, find a mentor and be a mentor. Somebody asked me, don't I have to have a mentor before I can be a mentor? No. So that's something that gets us caught up, because where we're at a certain point in time, we have experience, knowledge, an understanding of things that we could share with people who need it, who maybe are on a parallel track with us, but just need the support of skills that we have and could share. So it's important to identify areas where you could use mentoring and research training, and develop a mutually beneficial relationship with mentors. What will you give them in return? For some people, it's just having a relationship with somebody that they feel is rewarding. For others, they want to be a co-author on a paper or on your grant. So make sure your relationships are mutually rewarding, and identify people early that you can start mentoring. So I've had a lot of mentors over my career. These are just a few of them. Margaret Black, Brian Hutchison, Andrea Bowman, in our school. Each of them mentored me in different ways. Sometimes it was a small project. Sometimes it was in terms of writing. Sometimes it was in developing a visual description of what I thought my research plan would be for the coming 5 years. And I'm so grateful for their input. In our Aging Community Health Research Unit, we've trained over 60 trainees over the past 8 years, undergraduate, graduate, postgraduate, new investigators coming from various disciplines and various universities. These are some of the opportunities that we have provided to our trainees in terms of collecting data, writing reports, presenting at conferences, publishing papers, being part of grants, and being part of seminars and workshops. Some of the things that we've also done is highlighted our trainees on our websites, given our trainees opportunities to be part of grants, provided funding. In all of your grant applications, make sure you integrate funding to support trainees, that they can then be either research assistants in your research unit, or they can go to conferences or have technology that they need. And one of the things I've learned over my career is it's never too early to start thinking about focusing on trainee career development. So where does that trainee want to go? Where does Melissa want to be at the end of her graduate studies? And how can I help prepare her to be successful in that way? So Melissa and Anna Garnett were my PhD students and are now both very successful young junior faculty members in schools of nursing. And they were part of our ACRU capacity building seminars and took the lead. And so even though they were already receiving mentoring from us, they mentored a number of junior trainees in our research unit and really did a fabulous job. So that's kind of some of the 5 lessons learned that I thought about here at the end of my career about what is important. And so I think one of the key things is relationships. Your relationships with your colleagues, your students, your friends are so important. And it's so important to make sure that you take the time to have, a bite to eat together, a coffee together, whether it's on Zoom or someplace else, but keep those relationships going because they're absolutely key. Now, I understand from Charlene, there are a number of questions, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen and open it up for questions and comments.
Thank you, Jenny, so much for that talk. Very inspiring. Does anyone have any questions for Jenny?
Yep, go ahead. I think Kylie, you had your hand up.
I do. I can get the ball rolling. Jenny, thank you so much. What an incredible presentation, and just to hear some of those reflections from someone who's had such a successful career. And the thing I kept thinking as you were going along was you've had all of these achievements, and you've really created such a positive environment. And I think in academia, especially for people getting into academia, it can be so competitive and not always a positive environment. So my question is, how did you do all of it with kindness and with, the attitude that you have?
That's a really great question, Kylie, and a challenging one. I think part of it is who you are and your character. If you're at this point in your career already willing to share what you know with others and to build up others, I think that's so key. So I think part of it is character. What is your character? And most of us as nurses, I believe, have that character already in us. We've chosen nursing as a calling, a career. And so our goal is to support people, whether it's patients or the community or our colleagues. And so I believe we as nurses have that as a character trait. And I think it's important for us to continue to develop that over our career. And you're right, it's a highly competitive environment. And that's why you need a team around you that you trust, that you support, and that you work together well with. So I hope that answers your question. It's a really good one. I'm going to have to take another step back and think about that, Kylie. Think about that a bit more. But I believe some of that is, as nurses, we are looking to better others in our careers, whether it's through research or trainees or in caring for patients. And that then leads, I think, to that kind of approach a bit more. Yeah, great question. Anyone else? Connie.
So congratulations on your career, and I can imagine you're probably going to have some separation anxiety moving out of academia into I don't know, the world of Jenny as you retire. So any words of what has this inspired you to do as you kind of wind down your career and exit? So what sort of lessons, I think, about humanity and I guess the profession of nursing have you learned over? What are your nuggets of inspiration for some of these nurses are quite young and still at the beginning of their career. So just what are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question, Connie. Some of it I think is, and I'm going to ask Melissa to speak in a minute, but some of it is thinking of ways to support those around you. So Melissa, for example, probably will say some nice things about me, but I probably should have been earlier in terms of thinking about where does Melissa want to go in her career and what can I do to support the next steps for Melissa. And so I think that's one lesson, to look at those around you and think about where do they want to go? Where do they want to be in 5 years' time? And what can I do to support them? Melissa, I'm going to ask you to talk for a minute.
I wish I'd done my hair, Jenny. I think part of that was I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So there you go. I think one important thing that you taught me, Jenny, when I would get kind of frustrated with the process of research is that, and kind of reconciling with moving from changing my identity as a nurse who supported one person at a time to a researcher and an educator. And you would say, like, you're not going to fix this big messed up healthcare system overnight. You're going to contribute with your team, like one little brick in the wall of knowledge, and then taken together will then move the healthcare system forward.
Thanks, Melissa. That's a great answer to Connie's question. I think, nursing is, I believe nursing is in the forefront of healthcare. And I believe COVID has really demonstrated what nursing can do and continue to do. I believe we all need to be advocates for better supports for nurses. And that's huge. And it's a part of what RNAO does and other organizations. So it's important for us to be part of organizations that support nurses and really recognize the value of nurses, as well as provide the supports that they need, especially through challenging times like COVID. Again, I think nursing has amazing things to contribute. When I hear about the awards that NRIG is giving to junior nurse scholars and the kinds of work that they're doing, this work, I believe, is groundbreaking. And it's absolutely key for us to continue to invest in nursing research that makes a difference. And so when I heard about all of the work that people are doing in their research projects and the passion that people talked about in the video clips, I'm really excited about the future of nursing. And I believe it's only going to get stronger and better with time. But I do believe relationships are so important. So I keep harping on this, but it's so important that you support other people around you and that you receive the support that you need in your career. And that's why building collaborative research teams is so important. It's not, in part, it's working with people that you can work with, but people who support you and are willing to see you advance and are willing to invest in the time and energy to support your trainees. So choosing those people wisely over a career is really important, I believe. Yeah. Boy, I get to go on a soapbox almost. My goodness, who thought that? Joyce, yes.
Thank you so much for your amazing words of wisdom and presentation. I just wanted to ask, and if you can provide some advice with regarding being a mentee, what do you find are good attributes to bring into that relationship, and anything that you see as quality that we can bring forward as we're proceeding in a mentor-mentee relationship?
That's a great question, Joyce. One of the things is to know yourself. And so to do some self-assessment. What are my current strengths? What areas do I want to work on? And to present those in a humble way to the mentor and say, these are the areas I'd like mentorship in. Maybe you are able to provide some of that, but maybe not all of that. So I think that's an important piece, to know who you are, where you want to go, and what you need to advance. Another thing that we all need as we advance in research careers is the willingness to accept critique and never take it personally. This is about your work, and you're trying to improve your work. It's not about who you are as a person. Try to avoid that, taking offense at critiques you might get. And, I have papers in the past year that I've got a whole bunch of critiques on. So I'm not an expert writer. I've never had a paper where it was accepted first time out with no changes. And so I think it's coming to it with an attitude of humility, but also an attitude of being willing to share and say, I can offer you this. I can offer you to be a co-author on my paper, to be an author on a grant. I can offer you my connections in the clinical practice setting for your own research. So those, I think, are some of the strategies that you need. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Great. Karina, great question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm just really excited to be here to be able to gain some of your knowledge and insight and wisdom. It's just such a privilege to sit here and listen. I just have a question. So I'm a baby researcher. I'm just entering my thesis writing of my master's, and I find it's so hard to just even get revisions out. And I feel like maybe it's imposter syndrome, or maybe it's I'm going to create something, it's not going to be perfect. And what do you say to that? I don't know if I know I'm not the only one, but I think I'm just looking for some what, I don't know. I'm just gonna let you answer that. I'm not gonna
That's a great question. And it is reaching the point where, whatever you write at any point in your career, you're going to get critiques on. So just do the best you can with a draft and get it out quickly. Don't hold on to it. Don't wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment, it'll never be there. I look back on some of my early papers and I think, duh, why did I write that? I could have done so much better job now. But, it's published, it's done, it's part of my research career. So it's moving on. And I think especially with graduate studies, masters and PhDs, we all need to reach that point where we recognize this is not a perfect product, but that's why I have a committee, because they're going to give me feedback and hopefully they'll do it in a timely way. And then I can use that feedback to revise and move on. It's just recognizing this is not going to be perfect. I'm going to get lots of feedback. Even after I'm done my PhD, I'd probably want to change it again, but I need to move on. It's also having a timeline and recognizing I want to get that piece of paper that lets me do what I can do with a master's or a PhD. So I need to move this process along and recognize it's never going to be perfect, but it's going to be in good shape by the time it's done with the support of my committee. Yeah, it's an excellent question. It's something that held me up for a long time in my PhD. Yeah. Anyone else? It's 4 o'clock and I know everybody's busy.
Thank you so much, Jenny. I had a couple of other questions too, but if you're okay with me maybe sending you an email and you could respond via email and I could post them on our website, that would be great.
Absolutely. And there's Amy and her little one. Amy, hi. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Hi.
Sorry, the internet is so horrible at my house today, so I'm in and out of, and he's getting upset. But thanks very much for speaking. It was great to hear you today, and congrats so much on your retirement, Jenny. Well deserved. Such an amazing career. You are definitely an idol from all of us, and
yes,
and a mentor to me. And I've really appreciated that over the years of my PhD. That's for sure.
Thank you so much, Amy. Thanks, everyone. You know, this was a perfect ending to a research career, to be able to reflect on what I've learned and to have all my friends and colleagues here on the line. Thank you all very much. You have made my life really wonderful. I've been honored to know each of you, and I wish you all the best in your research career. If there's any questions, let me know, send me an email, whatever. I'd be happy to help if I can. Thanks so much, Charlene.
No problem. Thank you so much, Jenny, for joining us today. I give you a great big distanced hug. And we want to thank you so much on behalf of NRIG. You can expect a small token of our appreciation in the mail. Again, I think your words of wisdom have been so instrumental, and so many of us had a chance to work with you over your illustrious career. And we have just been inspired in so many ways by you, not only by your accomplishments, but as Kylie mentioned, your kindness. I think your kindness and your reputation of your kindness almost precedes your research accomplishments. And that's something that I've always taken to heart, and I try to emulate in my own research, and I'm sure all of us do as well. So you've been a great mentor to all of us. Thank you very, very much. And we wish you all the happiness in the world in your retirement.
Thank you very much. All the best to each of you.
Thank you. So with that, I will conclude our AGM. Thanks everyone for joining us. I'm going to stop recording, and thanks again.
Thank you.